Hi, welcome to Blackpack Homestead. My name's Marilla.
And Chris.
And we are back continuing our series today on raising meat rabbits. The subject today for raising meat rabbits is actually raising up your kit from birth to harvest. Thank you for joining us for our 5-part series on raising meat rabbits. So let's get into the down and dirty of how to raise your rabbit from birth to harvest. On our last video, we talked about that gestation takes 30 days and that before the doe has her babies, she will build a pretty nest and pull lots of fur. And she's going to give birth. You're going to be, if you get to see a rabbit give birth, please let me know, because we've never caught it, and it usually happens in the wee early hours of the morning.
Well, we've caught it, we just haven't observed.
We've caught that end of it. When the baby rabbits or kits are born, they have no fur and their eyes are closed. One of the first things you want to check for when you go down there, when you're doing your kindling checks on your doe, once those babies are born, one of the very, very, very first things you need to do is pick each baby rabbit up and make sure they have a full belly, that they'll have a really tight, round belly, and that way you know mama has been feeding them and is taking good care of them, because like I said, you're never going to catch her. I mean, I think I might have caught it. With Quicksilver, she tends to nurse in front of you.
Yeah.
And when the kids get older, you might see them nurse. But when they're babies, itty-bitty, furless creatures, you hardly ever get to see her nurse. And after you've checked for those little round bellies, do a count and find out how many baby rabbits you have. And as you count and pick up each baby rabbit, you once again make sure they have a full round belly. I like to look and make sure that all their parts are in the right place. They've got 4 legs, 2 eyes, a mouth, a nose, and ears, because we have had one birth where the kit was deformed. So I like to double check that everybody's looking good and have all their parts.
Another thing to watch out for, like any mother, she may be protective of her young.
Yes.
So watch the behavior. If she charges you or is unhappy, it's probably a good thing that you not be in there fiddling around with it.
Yes, because they are very protective of their babies. So once you've counted the kits and you've made sure they're all intact as they should be, and you're being careful around mama, and if she gets annoyed, just stop. She can take care of those baby rabbits better than you can any day. So at about the age of 2 weeks old, their little eyes start to open, and they've got quite a bit more fur, and pretty much almost have all their fur. But at this point is when you need to watch out for one of the health issues that baby rabbits can have, and that's called nest box eye. I'll put in some clips of nest box eye here. What nest box eye is just like conjunctivitis. You know, they've been in this nest box for 2 weeks. Mama's been pooping in it, while she's nursing. They've been pooping in it. She cleans up after them for the most part. And you want to let some of that poo stay, the mama's poo stay in the nest, because the babies will nibble it, and they're going to get the good bacteria to start their gut off right. It's gross, I know. But one of the things I do to help prevent nest box eye, because it does get, all the hay gets matted down and the fur gets matted, what I like to do is I like to lift up the fur, take out the damp hay, and sneak some hay underneath it. And that usually prevents our babies from getting nest box eye, and it's worked pretty well until this last batch of kits we had had a very serious case of nest box eye, and I believe that's because it was really cold in
It was
February.
really cold. The little babies didn't want to get
Yeah,
out of their little area.
They usually start emerging from their nest at 2.5 weeks, and it was so cold those babies did not come out of the nest till they were 4 weeks old. They'd stick their heads out and check everything out, but they'd jerk back under that fur.
And if anything is dry in there in the way of fur, you might want to preserve that and save it for when you place everything back in your box.
Yes, one of the, you can have a doe that won't pull fur or won't pull enough fur. So after you see your doe pulling fur, while the fur is fresh and clean, get a Ziploc baggie or some container and get a handful of it. And that way, if you have a doe that doesn't pull enough fur, you've got fur to supplement with, which I have done. And it works. But nest box eye is what I was talking about. And so it's, for me, I just clean out the nest box like I explained, and I check all the bunnies' eyes. You look, as long as their eyes are clean and not goopy, you don't have an issue. But they'll be like when you're a kid, you know, and you wake up, you've got a cold and you can't open your eyes because they're glued shut, welded shut, with, you know, all the mucus and gum because you've got a cold. It's exactly like that, and they can't open their eye. So one of the first ways that we first approach it is with warm water, a Q-tip, and peroxide. I put a little bit of peroxide in the warm water, dip the Q-tip in the warm water, and then very gently clean off the rabbit's eye. And that usually takes care of it, no problems, no worries. End of, you do it for like a week and they're fine. And I try to do that twice a day. But with our last batch of kits, one little brown girl, she had the worst case of nest box eye in both eyes that we have ever seen.
Awful.
I did the usual treatment. I made a decoction to wash around her eye with, like I used to with Arthur, when Arthur would get his seasonal allergies. And I did everything, and we were researching colloidal silver. And I was like, let's just get it. Let's just go to Nature's Pharmacy.
Well, we'd done a little research on it, and we thought it would apply, and it seemed to have worked well.
Yeah,
it cleared it right up.
I mean, we researched it. I went to a rabbit site. I can't remember which site it was. I'll try to link it. But they have had great success treating bad cases of nest box eye with colloidal silver. So we treated her with colloidal silver. The first dose, you know, just 1 drop in each eye, and I got a medicine dropper because usually colloidal silver comes with an atomizer in it, but I've got a lot of little glass droppers.
I think you're doing what, twice a day, once in the morning?
Yes, yeah, I just used a little glass dropper, and I would go down there in the morning and I would clean his eye with the peroxide water solution, and then I would put 1 drop in each of the rabbit's eyes. And by that afternoon, there was improvement. In 3 days, she looked perfect. And I continued her on that regimen for 2 weeks, and then she never had another problem. That rabbit is now our niece's rabbit, Aubrey Grace. Shout out, Aubrey. Shout out, Vulcan. Little brown-eyed girl got named Vulcan, and so she's living the happy life of a pet in our niece's house.
That's a large rabbit too.
She's a big girl.
Yeah, that's a large rabbit.
But anyway, so that is nest box eye, and like I said, there'll be footage inserted throughout showing you this nest box eye. But usually it's not a problem. They come out of the nest box at 2 weeks, and you know, no worries. But these guys, this one particular batch, man, or this one particular rabbit, she had it bad. So, now that we know about all that, let's talk about when they do come out of that box. About 2 or 3 weeks old, they'll start hopping in and out of the box and running around and investigating and checking the new world out. And at this point, your care is still just making sure that their bellies are full, that their eyes look good, that their ears are developing, just like you would with any animal you keep. Make sure that their needs are all met.
Another thing, guys, is about this age, you really need to have your protectors going around the cage there to keep your little bunnies from coming out of their cage should they be able to squeeze through the wire.
Yeah,
our setup is good. Our rabbits grow big and fast enough that we really don't worry about that. But you definitely want your extra
baby
wiring.
protector is what
Baby
he's talking
protectors.
about. Hardware cloth
Yeah.
around the bottom, maybe 4 to 8 inches of the cage, so the babies don't fall through the 2-inch by 1-inch cage walls. So we have that on one of our cages, but we've never had a problem. No kits falling out, because our rabbits are pretty darn big.
Yeah.
So now that they're out running around and checking out the world, they'll start nibbling mama's food. Between 4 and 6 weeks old, they'll start checking out the water bottle. They'll start eating lots more pellets, and we take a bowl and we just put a big bowl down in the floor to where everybody has access, and we fill the mama rabbit's feeder full, and we just keep those full all the time. Those baby rabbits are going to jump into that bowl and they're going to poop in it, and it's going to be a pain in the butt. But if you can figure out a better way to feed baby rabbits. So what I do is I'll go through and pick out their little tiny poops and give it back to them. But now so now that we've talked about picking poop out of baby rabbits' food, continuing on with separating kits. You know, some people will separate at 6 weeks and leave like the smallest kit in to continue to nurse on mom so she doesn't get mastitis. Some people move them out at 8 weeks and they do fine, and we've done it both ways and we've had success both ways. So, you know, at this point, some people will harvest their rabbits at 8 weeks. But we prefer to harvest at 12 weeks. You get a little bit bigger of a rabbit. We have harvested at 16 weeks, and we ended up with a lot of cage fighting because at 12 weeks they're mature enough to make babies of their own, and at that point you have to separate boys and girls, and then the girls will get along great, but the boys will fight. You know, hang on. So, but the boys will fight. And we had like a massive cage fight one day. He was at work, fur flying. I had to set up cages in the basement and separate rabbits, and there's a video on it, cage fighting. I'll link it up here. It was a crazy day on the homestead. So since then, no more growing out to 16 weeks. Nope, nope, nope. We harvest at 12 weeks now, and we're all happy with no cage fighters. And really, we've watched them grow between that 12th week and that 16th week. We don't really get
a lot
that
of it's
much
the personality
bigger.
of the rabbit, I think. You know?
Yeah.
Because not all rabbits are
Created
the
equal.
same. They all got their little personalities.
Yeah, they do. They have their own. They get moods just like every animal. I mean, you know. So that is when we like to harvest to avoid the cage fighters. But that's where this video ends today, because tomorrow's video is all about the harvest. So, you know, that wraps it up here. I'm sorry about the video yesterday that we had to interrupt for my illness. I had my magnesium infusion today. I'm starting to feel a little bit better. I also started my B12 injections today, so hopefully that's going to help. And I feel a little bit better, but I just really need to sleep. I need to sleep. While I had my infusion, I slept. Yeah. So, that's it for today. Got anything to add?
God loves you. Like and subscribe.
Mm-hmm.
Hit the bell. Hit the
Hit
bell.
the bell. All notifications.
Always the bell. Push it.
Push the
Push
bell,
it.
and the drop down select all notifications, because if you don't do that, YouTube won't send you notifications when we upload video.
So important, guys. So important.
It really is. YouTube.
It's tough. It's a tough world.
YouTube is a complicated beast. It really is. It really is. So, well, that's it. That's a wrap. Tomorrow our video will be all about the harvest. And today was Vlogust the 13th. Hope you're enjoying the Vlogust vlogs. Anything to add, sweetheart?
God loves you. Like and subscribe. Hit the bell.
For watching. We'll see you here tomorrow at the Blackpack Homestead. Take care. God bless. And bye-bye.